Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Is this the
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Sunday's NFC Championship game between the Rams and Seattle sets up an interesting situation for Rams wide receiver Davante Adams. This will be the fifth time Adams, a 12-year veteran, is playing in the NFC title game. He's still looking for his first win. Adams was 0-4 in NFC title games during his 8-year career with the Green Bay Packers. A Rams win Sunday sends the 33-year-old Adams to his first Super Bowl. The Rams are 2.5-point underdogs. The Lakers and Clippers meet up tonight at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, third game this season between LA's NBA teams. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked third in the country, had a practice game last night at Pauley Pavilion. They had an easy time with Purdue, 96-48. Forward Gabriela Jaquez led the Bruins with 25 points and 3 steals. The Bruins are 18-1, 8-0 in the Big Ten Conference. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Tavish Smiley. You may have heard me talk about the new course I'm teaching, The Art of Conversation. Well, it's here, and I'm holding a live free preview session on January 26th at 6 p.m. Pacific. January 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm keeping this intimate. Don't miss it. I'll see you in class.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Thought Provoking Thursdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I'm stuck on the 5, on the 10, on the 405, and the 1 the next 2 hours with you on KBLA Talk 1580. We're in traffic together, and we are going to be having conversations with Atiba. Atiba is the former Deputy Executive Director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, NBCSL. He's a strategic alliance consultant and president of Party Politics US. He's worked as a TV political contributor for BNC News, The Heat, In the Know with Mo, The Leslie Marshall Show, iHeartRadio, Government Exec, GovExec, more specifically, 96.3 WHUR, and the One America News Network. So much to talk about today. I want to welcome our very special contributor, Atiba. Welcome forward, Atiba.
Hello, Jesse. It's good to be with you.
It's always a pleasure, brother. You know, I've been watching the hearing all day today with Jack Smith, and the partisan nature of the obvious facts that we saw on January 6th. I think he's doing a fairly good job of holding the line as a prosecutor who has prosecuted Democrats and Republicans, and he followed the facts on January 6th where they led, and they led to the President of the United States and 2 charges offered by his office. I don't hear much conflicting testimony, but it's clear that Donald Trump's campaign against the prosecutors who challenged him during both his first administration, during his time, if you will, Donald Trump in exile during the Biden administration, that his retribution campaign is continuing. Atiba, I don't know if you've been paying attention to Jack Smith today, but your thoughts on the president's efforts to go after all of the prosecutors who prosecuted him.
I'm not following it, at least not today. My thoughts, November 3rd, 2026. And I continue to say that to folks when they ask me questions, when they ask, well, what do we do? And I keep saying November 3rd, 2026. And know and find out when your primaries are in your cities and your states. I saw something today that made me pause and laugh at the same time. It was a post that someone put up that says it came from a senator who said that Congress is abdicating its responsibility. And the response was, in blah, 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 you're in Congress. You're also to blame. I think that there's so much stuff that keeps being put on the partisanship. And I'm still waiting and wondering when the adults in the room are going to speak up and give us a roadmap of what to do as opposed to how to react.
I appreciate that. What I heard you say is there's an election on November 3rd, 2026 that we need to focus on. But the hearings that are dominating MSNBC and dominating CNN at this hour are all about looking back to January 6th of the certification process for the Biden administration. And the only pause that I have in that measure is that if we don't have a sacred moment in the United States, and that sacred moment being the moment that we certify an election, and we've had since George Washington's presidency at least 2.5 centuries of consistent elections. If we don't get to the bottom of the counting process, if we don't get to the bottom of the rumors that continue to swirl around our nation's election system, there are people who are sitting on the sidelines that we need activated to participate in the primary processes, that we need to pay attention when they go into the polling places to make sure that their ballots are placed in the correct boxes, whether they are electronic or whether they are boxes that are manually, where you drop your actual ballot into the box and they're counted on election night. There's even efforts that are taking place across the country to eliminate the date that mail-in ballots are sent to the polling place. If in fact your ballot arrives a few days or even a day after the election, the post office has now changed that certification process for when you actually mail the ballot. If in fact it stamps it that you voted after the election, they're suggesting that you did not vote when in fact you voted before the election. They just did not put the official stamp of the post office that your piece of mail was canceled on the date of the election. That's deeply troubling. And so I'm trying not to moonwalk. I'm trying not to look forward and go backwards at the same time, but there are big holes in the nation's electoral system that are going to be addressed and are going to be debated right through the middle of these primaries. I was reading a really interesting report, Natib, and I'll let you have it after this. Black Voters Matter says that 186 Black state representatives and Latino state representatives, if in fact the Robinson versus Calais decision, which may not come down until June, been shared with by Attorney Barbara Arnwine, may lose their jobs. And as the former deputy executive director of the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, that means you'll be the former executive director of a number of state legislators who will be former. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, more with Atiba. I promise you all we're going to get some interesting perspectives from Atiba today as we move forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, KBLA delegation, you know what's better than laughing? Laughing while celebrating the legends who made us laugh in the first place. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to present our annual Black History Month luncheon. And this year, we're honoring comedy greats, trailblazers who broke barriers, and funny bones at the same time.
You had to grow up early when we was growing up because your parents were sending to the store to buy. You was too young to buy. I want you to go to the store, give me a fifth of gin and a pack of cigarettes. Mama, I'm 2. They ain't gonna let me have that. Here, take this note. You be a little boy walking down the street with liquor and cigarettes, and your neighbors be going, that's a good little boy right there.
We need a little levity right about now. So we're rolling out the red carpet for comedy royalty. D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Lunel, Dion Cole, Martin Lawrence, and a surprise guest appearance. It's going up Thursday, February 26th in downtown LA at the Grammy Museum. An unforgettable afternoon of stories, celebration, and yes, plenty of laughs. Because let's be real, these legends don't just tell jokes. They have changed the game, opened doors, and made history while making us smile.
You got to go to child support court. You got to get there real early in the morning. You see brothers going into court. You see them come out 3 hours later. I can't pay this. Let me talk to you, baby. Please, let me talk to the witness, Sean. Let me talk to the witness. Brother be working for 3 weeks, get his check is $43.
This year, for the first time ever, we have set aside a limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon. They are going to go fast, and when they're gone, they're gone. So if you want a single ticket, or if your company or organization wants to sponsor a table, move swiftly and get to KBLA1580.com right now. All these comedy giants in one room on one stage at the same time? Stop it! This event is going to sell out quicker than right now and sooner than at once. KBLA Talk 1580's annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. It's gonna be legendary, just like them.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
You got to laugh the pain away.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-242-1551. That's 800-242-1551. 800-242-1551.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned, homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized, the families who watched their inheritance disappear, the wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me.
Welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
KBLA.
On KBLA Talk 1580. I signed up today for The Art of Conversation, a live preview on January 26th at 6 p.m., 9 p.m. ET, 8 p.m. CT. Tavis Smiley. We are going to get a masterclass for the 376 people who had signed up at the hour that I signed up. It's going to be fascinating for those who want to better their understanding of this particular craft. And who better to teach us and share with us than the master himself, Tavis Smiley. Atiba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hey, Jesse.
Atiba, a quick question. I get it. We got to go forward and forward into November 3rd, 2026. What, from your perspective, does forward look like?
So I see a lot of, I guess what people are calling resistance, for one, which means people are activating and are actively engaged. I see and hear and watch a lot of people posting and sharing information on social media. I'm a big person who likes to look back at the past. And when I think about voting, I'm always reminded of a day sitting in the office of Congressman John Lewis for a few hours talking about what it was like for him being a young person organizing, how they were able to start a movement. And he said, with a movement, it's a movement because they were having meetings where there were 1, 2, and 3 people sometimes. And then they would come back and someone would bring someone and so on. And that's what created the movement. Today, I believe that we are in a country that is under duress, that is, people are fearful. I have said this before on the show that when you look back at President Obama, we argued often that the reason why Republicans and others were attacking him was because of the color of his skin. And I'm going to continue to say that I don't just look at it as reason because it was the color of his skin. It was because he gave so many people who were not just African American, but a whole country. If you think about what it looked like on election night in 2008 and what it looked like in the historic numbers who attended the inauguration, that he gave the country hope and he gave the world hope. And I'm reading right now Dr. King's last book, Where Do We Go From Here? And I really would suggest anyone listening to pick up the book if you haven't read it, because it is as relevant today as it was in 1967 when he wrote it. That we keep asking this question and we keep drawing these parallels and we keep using color, but we're not looking at things also from other perspectives. We're only looking at it from one. And so when I'm hearing people say and be fearful that we may lose seats, I keep going back and thinking, well, we may lose seats now, not because of just where we are today, but because people have taken voting for granted for a long time. When I think about the work, for instance, that your father did and others in terms of registering people to vote, and I think about every election and how many people sit on the sidelines and say, I'm not going to vote because there's a candidate that doesn't inspire me. I'm not going to vote because they don't care about me. You know, that this is what John Lewis was warning us about and telling us why it was so important to vote. We're in this situation right now, and we have to take some personal responsibility, not to say that others haven't done things to muddy the waters, but we also have to take some personal responsibility in terms of, one, how do we get here? And then also, where do we go from here?
I mean, I respect that, but let me push back just a little bit.
Don't hurt me too much.
I'll try. I would never do that. My pushback is this. African Americans and Latino Americans are not responsible for segregated neighborhoods in the United States. By law, we were sent to certain sides of town, affordable sides of town. We caught the early bus, went to the wealthy side of Los Angeles, California, or the wealthy side of the city of Chicago, when we were the maids and we were the cleaners and the sweepers and the grass cutters. A significant Latino community in the 2nd Congressional District of Illinois lives on the south side, but they cut grass in Evanston, Illinois. They cut cut grass in communities far north of where they live. Racial segregation. So the law that was written to give us an opportunity to have voices in the Illinois legislature or in Sacramento, California, or in Washington, D.C. says that it is okay to draw lines that give these men and women who catch the early bus the right to vote for someone else who catches the early bus so they can go to Washington, to Sacramento, or to Los Angeles and say, for people who catch the early bus, we need affordable health care because at the end of the day, we can't afford health care. We catch the early bus and we get home late and our children are latchkey kids. They have a lot of extra time on their hands without parenting. We are living in neighborhoods that by law, and now increasingly by affordability, have us trapped on our side of town. Now, I raised that question because the law that gives these disparate groups of people an opportunity to speak up in Sacramento, or to speak up in Illinois, or to speak up in Washington is about to change, saying that you can't use race as a factor in drawing lines. In other words, redraw all of the lines. You no longer have representatives. And so some white guy who does not know our experience, or some white woman who does not know our experience, has a better chance of getting elected. And then we're supposed to ask them to share our experiences in Sacramento, or experiences in Springfield, or experiences in Washington, D.C. I wouldn't blame the victim, and that concerns me in my pushback.
Okay, so you talked about the segregation and where we live, where our districts are. I'm going to push back and say what is the purchasing power of these demographics? It's combined, African American and Hispanic American make up almost $4 trillion of expenses every year. So where's that $4 trillion going? The second part that I'm going to say is that the Hispanic or Latino community and the African American community combined make up almost 100 million out of 300 million people in the country. This is not a push to say, oh, the African American or Hispanic community is doing anything wrong. It's just to say, well, where is it and how do we get to this point here? And again, where do we go from here? So one, in terms of voting, we're seeing around the country that congressional districts have been and are being redrawn. Let's look at Texas. And then we look at, for instance, I'm just going to take Congresswoman Crockett, who decided rather than to run for election in a redrawn district to run for United States Senate. My question often when people are asking me about that and what do I think in terms of her running in that race is, if she can't win a race that has been redrawn, how can she win a state that is bigger? And what is her message that is more unifying to the state that will appeal to Hispanic voters, white voters, Black voters? That's what's happening all over the country. And where we're seeing what's happening in Washington happening all over the country is it is requiring us to figure out a different message, because often within these districts, our message has been how we're going to protect African Americans, how we're going to protect Hispanic and Latinos, where the conversation now to me is how are we blended in within a whole context in terms of a country? And the common part of all this is that whether you're white or Black or Hispanic or Asian, we're all, for the most part, most of us out of 330 million people, poor by extension. Most of us are not the 0.5% that are billionaires that are controlling all of this. But the one thing that we do control is our spending power. The one thing that we do control is our ability to go and to vote. But often what we find the narrative is consistently is we're saying what they won't let us do, as opposed to in my opinion, going back to what happened when our communities were the maids, the chauffeurs, the cleaners in the house, the gardeners, and had families of 5 and 6 and 7. At least one child, we at least made the effort to send at least one child to school, to college, because the hope was that one child will come back and help the rest of us. Today, we have so caught up in individualism that we're forgetting about, I think, the values. And I personally think that the issues that are impacting African-American and Hispanic community, in large part, the narrative continues to be, oh, they're taking your jobs, not just us, but immigrants. But it's really meant to divide us and take our attention off of the thing that Dr. King was talking about in 1967, and that was poverty. And the reality is, all of us, regardless of what our income, unless you're a billionaire, all of us are suffering from the same hypocrisy in this country. And so we continue to find ourselves in these silos. We, I think, do better if we recognize that we have more in common with someone who's white living in rural America than we think. And that part of the reason why they have put their lot and their vote in another basket is because they think that someone else is going to get them out of their condition, the same way that some people thought that, oh, we're going to get out of the condition that we're in 2008. And then others thought that after George Floyd with the DEI programs, that would get us out. But where have we gone from there? Because we keep having the same argument 50, 60 years. We're continuing to talk about the same thing.
Let me push back on the pushback. And I know that that we just have a couple of minutes before we come forward, and I know we'll pick up on some more of this in the next segment. But Beyond Vietnam, April 4th, 1967, is as influential to me as Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community, because it's far more specific. He talks about a revolution of values. He talks about the triple evils of militarism, racism, and materialism, right? Not just poverty. The Poor People's Campaign of 1968 is a factor in materialism, but the military is also spending, and the country, hundreds of billions of dollars in Vietnam. So let me just set the stage with this. In 1954, when Brown versus the Board of Education was decided, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the nation's measure of the strength of the economy, was 404. Dr. King is killed in 1968. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is somewhere around 956. The health of the economy. When Ronald Reagan becomes president of the United States, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the leading economic indicator of the nation, is at 7,000. By the end of the Obama administration, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is at 19,000. The Dow Jones closed this past Friday at 49,000. And there is a tipping point that we are reaching as a nation as the billionaires get more and more. They now have robots cutting grass, so our Hispanic brothers and sisters don't have to drive north no more, because a robot on wheels comes out of a garage, cuts your grass, and goes back and parks itself in a little caddy. So the future is AI and robotics, which means a displacement of Black people and brown people on a scale that we haven't seen. That's real stuff, and it matters in 2026, and people are equally as concerned. More with the T-Ball, KBLA Talk 1580, when we come forward on Thought Provoking Thursdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. A bill to designate October 14th as Charlie Kirk Day of Remembrance in Florida has cleared a second Senate committee.
If we're going to open the door to legislate remembrance, then we must be prepared to remember fully and not selectively.
An amendment by Black Democratic Senator Chevron Jones to instead recognize George Floyd failed. A Minnesota judge is declining to sign a complaint charging Black journalist Don Lemon over a protest that disrupted a church service in St. Paul. Reports say the decision angered Attorney General Pam Bondi, though sources note the Justice Department could still pursue other legal options. And the Grammys are expanding this year's performance lineup. Pharrell Williams and Clips have been announced as performers for the upcoming ceremony. Both acts are also nominees, with Williams earning 3 nods and Clips picking up 5. The Grammys air February 1st on CBS. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Today, January 22nd, is the 20-year anniversary of Kobe Bryant delivering one of the most iconic performances in NBA history. January 22nd, 2006, Kobe dropped 81 points on the Toronto Raptors in the Lakers' 122-104 victory at Staples Center. In 42 minutes, Kobe made 28 of 46 shots and was 18 of 20 at the free throw line. He outscored Toronto by himself in the second half, 55-41. As electric as Kobe was that night, he was 19 points shy of the NBA's all-time single-game scoring record. That claim to fame belongs to Wilt Chamberlain. As a member of the Philadelphia Warriors, Chamberlain scored 100 points against the New York Knicks on March 2nd, 1962. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford is one of 5 finalists for the NFL's Most Valuable Player Award. Stafford led the NFL with 4,707 yards passing and 46 touchdown passes. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Unwrap LA this winter with Metro. Whether you're heading to a family gathering or last-minute shopping, Metro's got you. Enjoy free rides across Metro on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Move with joy. Move with community this holiday season. Go Metro. Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community, educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit CASMPvolunteer.org.
Hey, KBLA delegation, you know what's better than laughing? Laughing while celebrating the legends who made us laugh in the first place. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to present our annual Black History Month luncheon. And this year, we're honoring comedy greats, trailblazers who broke barriers, and funny bones at the same time.
You had to grow up early when we was growing up because your parents were sent to the store to buy. You was too young to buy. I want you to go to the store, get me a fifth of gin and a pack of cigarettes. Mama, I'm two. They ain't gonna let me have that. Here, take this note. You be a little boy walking down the street with liquor and cigarettes. And your neighbors be going, that's a good little boy right there.
We need a little levity right about now. So we're rolling out the red carpet for comedy royalty. D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Lunel, Dion Cole, Martin Lawrence, and a surprise guest appearance. It's going up Thursday, February 26th in downtown LA at the Grammy Museum. An unforgettable afternoon of stories, celebration, and yes, plenty of laughs. Because let's be real, these legends don't just tell jokes. They have changed the game, opened doors, and made history while making us smile.
You got to go to child support court. You got to get there real early in the morning. You see brothers going in the court. You see them come out 3 hours later. I can't pay this. Let me talk to you, baby. Please, let me talk to the witness, Sean. Let me talk to the witness. Brother be working for 3 weeks, get his check is $43.
This year, for the first time ever, we have set aside a limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon. They are going to go fast, and when they're gone, they're gone. So if you want a single ticket, or if your company or organization wants to sponsor a table, move swiftly and get to KBLA1580.com right now. All these comedy giants in one room on one stage at the same time? Stop it! This event is going to sell out quicker than right now and sooner than at once. KBLA Talk 1580's annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. It's gonna be legendary, just like them.
What's up? What's up? What's up? You got to laugh the pain away.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. J Lynch Club.
KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
On Thought Provoking Thursdays, our conversations with Atiba have commenced. Atiba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hey, Jesse, it's always good to be here.
So just before the break, we were having a conversation about the way forward, about what's next. I know that you want to get there, but I do want to say this politically. By the time Martin Luther King Jr. starts meeting with Lyndon Johnson and thinking some of the great thoughts about the interconnectedness of reality and red, yellow, brown, black, and white, all of us having something in common in this inescapable bond of mutuality, he engaged in a life of base politics. Pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, Montgomery, Selma, Atlanta, base politics. First, Negroes had to follow him. And when he had a solid base of us, then he was able to offer a national and international, a global vision from a base of support. Harold Washington, when he ran for mayor of Chicago, started with the black community and built out to Hispanics and to whites. Jesse Jackson didn't have a chance in 1984 and 1988 if he didn't have Cedar Rapids and Iowa City and black churches in Chicago and black churches in New Hampshire and South Carolina and the South to preach in. And of course, he won all of the debates that he participated in with all the white folks who was on the stage. Base politics. What makes Tavis Smiley a national leader of black people, KBLA. Man, Tavis wakes up every day talking to black folk. And then by the time he makes it to Washington and makes it to the news and he's able to argue our case and earn the respect of the broader population, he starts with the base politics. And one of the challenges that I have is I don't run off and leave the base, man. I am not leaving Negro people, man. I got to get something to eat first. So here's my theory about that. That in this hour, they shot that white woman in her face in Minnesota, Miss Good. She's LGBTQ. But in Minnesota, they are locking up black and brown people. That's all they're looking for are black and brown people in the middle of this election. That's all they're looking for in Chicago in the middle of this election. That's exactly why they terrorized D.C. Under the Trump administration. That is exactly why they're in these blue cities, Los Angeles, because of black mayors. We have not seen a white mayor hardly yet, except for what's happening in Minneapolis. Well, I want to go to the rainbow politics. I want to get to what's next. But at the end of Reconstruction, brother, we are under attack. Help me with what's next in that context, because that is exactly what Dr. King confronted when young people said, I get your dream, Doc, but do you see what's happening in our streets?
So I hear what you're saying, and in no way am I, saying in any way, shape, or form, let's leave each other. I'm more so saying, how do we lock arms together and how do we move forward together, and not just us? Because if we just keep thinking about us, we will consistently be a minor issue in this country. We have been trying to do that for 60 years. Since Dr. King wrote, "Where do we go from here?" It's been almost 60 years. And we're still having the same conversation. And we still don't want to hold one another accountable. We still don't want to say, well, hey, what did we miss in 2008? We had 8 years. We see someone now who's in the president's house who, over the course of 5 years, let's just say 1 year, because what we've seen right now is in this massive shift in the last year is someone who had the president's house, the House, and the Senate. President Clinton at one point had the House, the presidency, and the Senate. President Obama for 2 years had the House, the presidency, and the Senate. What we have seen people tell us all the time, well, we can't do this because we need to work with the other side. We need to do this and this and this. And yet we see someone who is in this office who has moved an agenda forward incredibly quickly. But we're always been told what we can't do. At some point, unless we want the same thing to come back, or 60 years from now, your great-grandchildren having the same conversation, some point we have to recognize that it's insane to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Why are there so many? You talked about before the break that there are these machines that are now able to cut people's grass. Dr. King in his book 60 years ago talks about automation, talked about how people would be losing their jobs. Where do we put such a lack of emphasis on education? Because part of the issue that we have here is when we're talking about, I mentioned here are the numbers, $2 trillion Hispanic Latino community, $1.6 trillion African American. That's nearly $4 trillion. But we're spenders, we're not producers. We don't ever ask ourselves about that. And what I'm saying here now is that not just to recognize where do we go from here, the question is, how do we want this to look moving forward? And part of that is, okay, I know I'm seeing people that are out there in the streets and people that are organizing and people that want to march, but what are you marching for and what is your demand?
Let me ask you this question, Atiba.
Let me just finish this point.
There are more white folks in that
Jesse,
same.
let me just finish this point.
Go ahead.
I mentioned in the beginning, November 3rd, 2026. I would love to see our radio stations like Tavis's. I would love to see our churches, our communities, our mosques, our churches, our synagogues. I would love to see organizations saying, we're going to march to go vote. Because that's one thing that we can affect a difference. But if we're just saying we're just going to go march in the streets and we're going to confront people and we're going to get hurt, I'm not saying that for some people, that is what they want to do. And I'm not telling them not to do it. But what I am saying is, let's figure out how we're going to get out of this together, not just how we're going to go vote together as Black people, how we're going to go vote together as Americans to change the narrative, because we have congressional members that keep saying they're going to do something or they can't do anything when they're in Congress and they're asking if they can't do it, it has to be us.
Well, let me just say this, Atiba. I got your critique of Black folk, and I know we got to come forward in just a moment because nobody will save us or us, but us, has been ingrained in me since I was a child. That's one of my father's all-time refrains. Nobody will save us, for us, but us. But the reality is, even when we turn to each other as a community and look for solutions, everyone is still an individual functioning off of individual consumer patterns in the United States. Dr. King says that materialism is a problem because we focus on ourselves and what we have, and we don't see the collective. Hey, I get it. I get it. Here's the problem, though. Brother, I believe racism is real, man. I believe ICE ain't looking for nobody. Listen, if you didn't open your mouth and let somebody know you were a brother, they would ask you for your papers. And those of you who are not paying attention, Atiba looks like he's Latina. a Latino. Yeah, anybody, a lot of us do. My producer looks like you're a Latino. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. Only me and Tavis look like we from the neighborhood. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk.
All you have to do is cut your hair.
Yeah, it's going to fall out before I cut it. More when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures. .org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Jackson Jr. Show. King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Please do not forget to download our podcast here at KBLA Talk 1580. We are on Thought Provoking Thursdays and our regular conversations with Atiba. Atiba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Good to be here, Jesse.
Let me ask you a question, Atiba. Immigration officers assert a sweeping power to enter homes without a judge's warrant, memo says. How do you feel about that?
It's against the law, period. I mean, what they're doing is wrong. But again, you know, my appeal is, you know, what is the message that goes across to rural America?
Well, before we get to rural America,
but there is a reason why I'm asking.
No. I want to finish this one.
Sure.
Before you go to rural America, whose homes do you think they're going in without a warrant? Who are they looking for? Rural America?
Jesse, that's where my point is. See, we can't combat what's going on right now in urban America without figuring out how we're going to compete with rural America. And why do I say that? The same healthcare issues that we face within our cities, they face. The same issues with income inequality, whether or not there's a farmer or whatever they do, they face. So the whole piece of this in terms of the country is to divide us. It's to make us think that, oh, they're just attacking us. Well,
they are just attacking us.
But Jesse, but if you take us out, if you take all the immigrants out, who's going to be left to do the jobs that the people are doing?
Yeah.
So the narrative, the question, the thing that people don't talk about is, hey, they want you to do the jobs because somebody's going to have to do it. Everything won't be automated. Everything won't be AI. The reason why I mentioned what I did, and I'm glad you talked about Dr. King in terms of talking about racism and militarism and materialism, because I believe that what he wrote then is more. I'm not going to say what is more important because I didn't live in 1967, but I know that it is just as important today as it was then. And part of the conversation that we have today is that we have more resources available to us. We have different ways that we can communicate. And there are more of us now than there were then. But again, we have to figure out a different message. I was born to parents who had joined the Nation of Islam. My mentality and the way that I think about things is about doing for self. I understood in terms of looking at when we talk about Black separatism and Black nationalism, come on now, that was indoctrinated in me at a very early age. And I also came to understand and to see that there are also ways, and I'll never forget listening to Stokely Carmichael, and perhaps one of the last speeches that he spoke at the Washington Convention Center, and I'm pretty certain your dad was there, where he said that if you just take this one finger and you bend it, you can break it. But if you put all five of them together, you have strength, and there's power and there's strength in unity. And so my message is going to consistently be, as much as I want to see us be free, we're never going to be free of these shackles, and we're never going to be free of what is going on. And if we're always basking and faced with fear. And my thing is that people are looking for messages of hope, and they're looking for not just for us to keep talking about what the issues are. They're looking about what is it that I can do? Because the reality is what is going on right now is crazy. But we're fixed to our televisions, we're fixed to our social media, and all we're doing is we're fixed. That's what fear is for. That's why they want fear. That's why I keep talking about hope. Because in 2016 and 2024, for some reason that we're not talking about, the country voted for fear. They voted for fear over hope. Why? Why did they vote for fear over hope? I believe Dr. King was assassinated not because of racism alone. He was assassinated because he spoke up against militarism. He was also questioning the morality of the materialism that was going on in this country and saying that as an African-American community, we shouldn't be asking for the equality that those white had. He was saying that we should be pushing for something better than that, something that also brought along morality. America is facing its issues today because it has a problem with not just corruption, but morality, even within our own communities that we don't want to speak about.
I absolutely agree with that. You get no pushback from me. I appreciate you keeping hope alive. But I am not going to ignore, and I don't think we can ignore, nor am I suggesting that you're ignoring the fact that ICE, by definition, are going through communities looking for brown people. And the Constitution of the United States has been set aside, allowing them to break in people's homes with masks on without a warrant. That is nothing short of terror. If that isn't the Jim Crow South, I don't know what the Jim Crow South is. Oh, you might say, don't call it the Jim Crow South. Just call it something that ICE is doing. Hell no, I can't say that. It's not because doing.
But Jesse,
black people everywhere. Black people everywhere. What happened to Rosa Parks? Every bus rider felt that. What happened to Emmett Till, Atiba? Every person who has a child that they sent south felt that. What happened to George Floyd? Every Negro in America understood what it meant to have a police officer's foot on your neck or your knee on your neck.
What about Nat Turner? What about Harriet Tubman? What about Frederick Douglass? What about, like, we keep talking about the 50s and 60s as if slavery didn't happen. And what we are seeing today is the best time for us to be talking about the connection of capitalism to slavery, the connection of what we're seeing. These are nothing more but slave catchers. At some point, I do believe in my heart that some of them, I'm not saying all of them, are going to turn. That some of them, but the question also is, who has dehumanized them to this extent? The $50,000 that they got signing bonus and then says that they have to stay there for 5 years. We've seen what happened in Germany with the Gestapo and others. We all have seen all these things play out before, Jesse. But the question remains, where is the hope? Where is the hope amid all of this fear? Because we're not getting anywhere. Even you and I having this conversation about, oh, well, we're not talking about the Rosa Parks and this way. Our issue within our own community is we don't talk about our history enough. And we act as if our rights began in the civil rights movement. We have to go back to slavery, and we have to remember that no matter what they try to take out of their history books, we can still talk about our own history, because we do know that he who controls the media controls the narrative. Well, we can't. The media can't control what's in our homes if we turn the TV off.
Tiba, I gotta say this before we head to the next hour. First of all, I'm grateful for your contribution and your conversation. But in some ways, many of our rights did begin in the civil rights movement, and they're all under attack. The Americans with Disability Act, part of the Civil Rights Act, LGBTQ rights,
13, 14, 15
Civil Rights Act. Yeah, I get the human rights.
We don't get there without 13, 14, and 15.
Again, those are constitutional rights, but the statutory rights from implementation of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments are the 1964 Civil Rights Act, directly attacked just last week by Donald Trump. He says it was bad for white folks. Then he's coming after the 64 Civil Rights Act. He says the same thing about the Voting Rights Act, and the court's going to have the final say on that in short order. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to Conversation with Atiba. We'll get to the 15th Amendment next week. More on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Atiba, thank you for your time. I appreciate you, brother.
Jesse. All right, appreciate you.
We're coming back with Johnny Mack on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. A bill to designate October 14th as Charlie Kirk Day of Remembrance in Florida has cleared a second Senate committee.
If we're going to open the door to legislate remembrance, then we must be prepared to remember fully and not selectively.
An amendment by Black Democratic Senator Shevrin Jones to instead recognize George Floyd failed. A Minnesota judge is declining to sign a complaint charging Black journalist Don Lemon over a protest that disrupted a church service in St. Paul. Reports say the decision angered Attorney General Pam Bondi, though sources note the Justice Department could still pursue other legal options. And the Grammys are expanding this year's performance lineup. Pharrell Williams and Clips have been announced as performers for the upcoming ceremony. Both acts are also nominees, with Williams earning 3 nods and Clips picking up 5. The Grammys air February 1st on CBS. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Today, January 22nd, is the 20-year anniversary of Kobe Bryant delivering one of the most iconic performances in NBA history. January 22nd, 2006, Kobe dropped 81 points on the Toronto Raptors in the Lakers' 122-104 victory at Staples Center. In 42 minutes, Kobe made 28 of 46 shots and was 18 of 20 at the free throw line. He outscored Toronto by himself in the second half, 55-41. As electric as Kobe was that night, he was 19 points shy of the NBA's all-time single-game scoring record. That claim to fame belongs to Wilt Chamberlain. As a member of the Philadelphia Warriors, Chamberlain scored 100 points against the New York Knicks on March 2nd, 1962. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford is one of 5 finalists for the NFL's Most Valuable Player Award. Stafford led the NFL with 4,707 yards passing and 46 touchdown passes. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, KBLA delegation, you know what's better than laughing? Laughing while celebrating the legends who made us laugh in the first place. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to present our annual Black History Month luncheon. And this year, we're honoring comedy greats, trailblazers who broke barriers, and funny bones at the same time.
You had to grow up early when we was growing up because your parents were sent to the store to buy. You was too young to buy. I want you to go to the store, get me a 5th of gin and a pack of cigarettes. Mama, I'm 2. They ain't gonna let me have that. Here, take this note. You be a little boy walking down the street with liquor and cigarettes. And your neighbors be going, that's a good little boy right there.
We need a little levity right about now. So we're rolling out the red carpet for comedy royalty. D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Lunel, Dion Cole, Martin Lawrence, and a surprise guest appearance. It's going up Thursday, February 26th in downtown LA at the Grammy Museum. An unforgettable afternoon of stories, celebration, and yes, plenty of laughs. Because let's be real, these legends don't just tell jokes. They have changed the game, opened doors, and made history while making us smile.
You got to go to child support court. You got to get there real early in the morning. You see brothers going in the court. You see them come out 3 hours later. I can't pay this. Let me talk to you, baby. Please, let me talk to the witness, Sean. Let me talk to the witness. Brother be working for 3 weeks, get his check is $43.
This year, for the first time ever, we have set aside a limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon. They are going to go fast, and when they're gone, they're gone. So if you want a single ticket, or if your company or organization wants to sponsor a table, move swiftly and get to KBLA1580.com right now. All these comedy giants in one room on one stage at the same time? Stop it! This event is going to sell out quicker than right now and sooner than at once. KBLA Talk 1580's annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. It's gonna be legendary, just like them.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
You got to laugh the pain away.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Thought-Provoking Thursday. And we are now in the World House. Johnny Mack. Dr. Johnny Mack is a social entrepreneur, a scholar practitioner with expertise in the subject areas of peace, conflict, social change, and movements. He has traveled extensively throughout the Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, working in the fields of peace, development, conflict, and nonviolent social change. Dr. Mack's seminal work, After Confrontation, Then What?, challenges the putative logic of nonviolent social change theory and practice. Particularly, he articulates nonviolence beyond the traditional understanding of nonviolent struggle as principally nonviolent resistance. He articulates nonviolence beyond the traditional understanding of nonviolent struggle as principally nonviolent resistance. Important subject matter. Dr. Mack's research includes extensive study of Dr. King's logic of nonviolence and the U.S. Civil Rights Movement. He explicates Dr. King's logic of nonviolence using King's call to restructure the social edifice, and particularly its triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism, with a revolution of values that is effected through peaceable power. Dr. Mack, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse. Glad to be here.
It's always a pleasure. In this week, where we have been commemorating the 97th birthday, what would have been the 97th birthday of Martin Luther King Jr., we did turn our attention to Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break the Silence. And there we found, obviously, the triple evils of racism, militarism, and poverty. Johnny, for a few minutes, and maybe even for a significant part of the show, I'd like to turn our attention to militarism. We've asked for more policing in our communities. I remember when I was in the 3rd and 4th grade, Officer Friendly used to come to my class, and he would bring tricks and magic tricks and some candy, and nice old jolly Chicago police officer, had a lot of jokes, just wonderful, almost like Mr. Ned from Bozo Circus. He just brought that kind of demeanor. Of course, I've not seen the Officer Friendly program in decades, because every cop these days must be on the streets. There's no more real community relations quite like visiting classrooms as law enforcement. Today's military, between the body armor and the stun guns and the massive sophistication at the level of even a patrolman, obviously necessary for the security of law enforcement in light of violent crime, but even the SWAT teams reflect used military equipment that suggests, even on our nation's programming, that there is a militarized attitude with respect to the American people that the nation itself is willing to accept. And I'm thinking now that militarism isn't just what we do in Venezuela or what we do in Greenland or what we do around the world. We are so used to what we inflict upon people around the world that when it presents itself to us as Americans in the form of warrantless searches by ICE, half the population are saying at this hour that they're okay with it. Johnny, that's a problem from my perspective.
Yeah, Jesse, it is a problem. It's a problem among a plethora of problems. That we must understand, and too many of us don't understand, Jesse. I was intrigued by the last hour's conversation with Atiba. Really an important discussion that the two of you are having. And it speaks